see them. Of course, those were in the days when it was the beatniks. So it was kind of a beatnik type place, and it was a great jazz music.
Could you put the Flambeau and the Tom Rigney information in the chat, please? So I could look it up correctly. And Sun Valley, Idaho, is that correct? Idaho?
Correct. Yeah, it's still in the United States. It's the only state that has, I think, 6 states that touch it and 1 country.
Ah, okay. I have a cousin in Idaho, but I haven't seen her in probably 70 years or so.
Has anyone had any trouble uploading the new Windows version, the new update for Windows 11? Any comments on that? Good news, bad news? Any?
I've had no issues at all with it.
No issues. Okay.
On here.
I had no problem.
No problem.
And
I even had no problems with the computer that Microsoft says shouldn't be running Windows 11. It updated without any problems to 22H2.
Yeah, I've got 2 machines running Windows 11. They're both fine.
Yeah, but
Windows 10 will have
22H2 is
Windows 10,
22H2 is the question.
Windows 10
yes.
will have their major update next month in October.
Yes.
Go ahead, Kathleen.
Yes, it just occurred to me, here I am with my Mac, and I thought somebody can answer my question. I got a notice that my family Microsoft 365 was renewed, and of course there was no way to contact anybody. They when they told me if I want to cancel it, I lose a whole bunch of gigabytes of information. I tried to check on how do you downsize from a family, which was an accident, a family subscription to a other subscription. I couldn't find that. So is anybody able to tell me about what happens if you cancel Microsoft 365 or the levels of subscriptions?
Well,
If you-
do you want to go ahead? Do you want to do it, Hewie, or?
Yeah, if you cancel, your account gives you a 1 terabyte of your OneDrive.
OneDrive.
And if you don't have an account, if you don't have a paid account, it's then I think it's 5 gigabytes. So you're going to lose, you will lose a lot if you got a lot up there. I think if you go to a different version, you'll still use your same Microsoft account. You shouldn't lose anything, but I please don't gamble on that.
But
Okay,
the
'cause
$1.99 will get you 100 gigs of space
Per month.
per month. Yes.
I'm all Apple. I bought an Apple in March, and I'm all Apple these days, so I'm not quite sure what to do with the 365.
Kathleen, are you storing stuff on OneDrive?
Yeah,
Apparently I am.
I would have a look and see what is on OneDrive.
Right.
Okay.
What
Because-
exactly are you storing and how much are you storing?
It may be stuff that you've already got backed up on your Mac, right? It might just because OneDrive will automatically and historically back up everything. You're probably backing up stuff forever, and it's just all sitting there. It's just all junk, and you don't need it. So that would be, have a look on OneDrive exactly what's on there, because that would be my suggestion, and see if you don't need that. I mean, most of your photos, do you still use Google Photos?
Yes.
So most of your stuff's in Google Photos. That won't affect Google Photos. Yeah, have a look at that. And if you don't need it, that's it. Just get rid of it.
It was like $99, and I thought, okay, I wasn't sure. It renewed automatically. I don't actually know whether it's going through because it had an old credit card.
Do any of your old family members use it? Like, or you're not sharing that with any family
No,
members?
I accidentally subscribed to family, and it was too much. It was too complicated to go back and to change it to single. So I just left the family.
The single's about $69. The family is $99.
Did you subscribe through Amazon, or did you actually how did you actually So how did you actually get 365? Do you know?
I had a Dell desktop at the time, and I just went online and subscribed.
Okay. All right. It's easy to unsubscribe, just, you know, and they'll rebate you. They'll give you your money back. That's not a problem.
Your
They're
concern is losing all that data.
yeah, it's just losing the
if it's stuff
data.
she
Just
needs, yeah.
check and see that you don't need that.
Okay, thank you. I thought, oh, I finally, can ask a Microsoft question
There
that's
you go.
related to me. All right, thank you.
Okay. Greg, go ahead.
Hey, Kathleen, just for your own information, I don't know if this is working for you, but on 365, up there on the top where you go to save, there's a little button you can click off, and that will not let it go into OneDrive. And OneDrive is just an extension on saving stuff. You might want to look at that, clean that off, and your apples are big enough that they'll take years and years of stuff.
Thank you so much. No, I didn't know all these things, so thank you.
Just a fountain of knowledge, right, Hewie?
Now
Yep.
you just have to work on your Apple part, if I remember.
Yeah, I know. Well, I have some good news for you, though. We actually have someone who's going to do a series for us on iPhone, so we're working on that now, and so we are cognizant of that fact, and I'm certainly anxious to have anyone step up that wants to do some work with Apple products on our and today's health section that we'll be talking about is all about Apple watches. So I mean, we are Apple friendly.
Yeah.
Right, Dick? Right, Dick?
Absolutely.
What can we do for you today?
Well, I don't know if you recall, but several weeks ago, I asked a question whether anybody could help me with a really obscure error message that I was getting when I tried to install cumulative updates. They just wouldn't install. And I down all the things that I could on the internet, and I was totally unsuccessful in resolving it. I wound up reinstalling Windows 11. So I just wanted to let people know that if you reach a point where things just aren't going as you hoped and you find a way out of it, it's really easy to reinstall Windows 11. So I'm using my newly installed Windows 11. Of course, I had to reinstall a lot of apps, and I haven't finished doing that yet. But that also let me get rid of some that I no longer use.
Yeah, but it's a good reason to make sure that you've got a list of all of the apps, the keys that you use to register or re-register if you need to, and all the information. And it does force you, when you do that, to get the most recent version of each of the apps as well. So you probably found that some of them you hadn't updated and were using an old version of it too.
Poplock Advisor, if you use it, gives you a great deal of information about your machine, applications, and all the codes that you might need.
Yeah. What I do is in my password manager program or app, I put all of my programs as I purchase them, as I update them, as I get new keys for the latest version and so on. I put all of those in my password manager, so I can always look them up.
Good idea.
Huey, didn't you do it, or is my mind going, but did you do an app on where it took all your the programs on your Windows machine and made a list of what they were that you could save somewhere, and that if you had to reinstall, did you not do
I don't
something
think I
about
did,
that?
but I know several people have. I think Bob, one of the programs Bob has, and he
CCleaner,
talks about in his
Yeah.
presentations.
Oh,
Does
did
that.
CCleaner has in one of its utilities, it makes a list of all the programs that are installed.
Yeah, and Glary Utilities also does.
I'm hearing something in the background from
Yeah, I am
somebody.
too, and I'm
Yeah,
not sure where it's coming from.
I've ordered, I'm just waiting for it to come in the
It's
mail.
Jim. Okay. I'm with him.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
got him.
I'll,
Yeah, okay. That's a good point. I mean, it's important if you have to reinstall it, you have a list of all your, although I guess the ones that you never remember is you probably don't need them
Yeah,
anyway
it
because
programs
you
you
never
installed
use them.
once several years ago, and
Windows-
it's still there.
well, Windows itself, when you do a clean install of Windows, will leave you with a list of all of the apps that did not get installed.
Oh, really? Okay, good one.
Yes, some of them, they even give you the link so that you can get the install. Not for all of them, but you'll at least know which apps did not get reinstalled on your system. And that was already being done in Windows 8.1. So 8.1, 10, 11, when you do a clean install, which means you're keeping your settings, but you're wiping out all of the third-party apps, you will have a list of what did not get reinstalled. And I
Excellent.
usually use that as a checklist to say, okay, I need this, this, and this, and all the other crap. I only put it on there to test it. So I quite often do a clean install of Windows because I do lots of beta testing and lots of testing of programs. And after a while, it does wind up making your computer a little slower. So it's always a good idea to do a clean install, and then you only reinstall the apps you actually use, not all the ones you've been testing and talking about.
All right. Hello. Good morning, Marcia. Marcia.
Hi there. I have a question, and you may have covered it. I just got in, and you may have a video about it somewhere, but I just am learning about Windows S and Secure.
Right.
And some of the people we're working with, they can't install a lot of things on it.
Right.
And I was wondering if you had any guidance of where I might go to learn more about it.
Windows
So-
S simply means that everything you install must come from the Windows Store. That's what the S represents. Okay, you can't install anything from anyone else if it's not part of what's offered on the Microsoft Store.
Is there any way around it?
Yes.
Yeah, get off the S and you can do a simple upgrade. But once you upgrade, you cannot go back.
Yeah, you
Is
can
it,
get
is
off.
it a good thing to keep?
No.
No,
Okay.
Well, it depends. If you have someone who has limited computer skills and basically will be using what they got is what they're going to use on their computer. Like they're not going to add any programs. They simply have email. They have they're happy with what they get out of the box. Then that's fine to leave it on S, right? Because that means they'll never be able to install anything there that isn't safe. So in that situation, I would leave it on S.
Oh, that is so helpful. And what's happening is they're buying new computers, and that's what's coming on it.
Yeah,
So-
you can
Yes.
you can go from S to regular Windows, but you can't go back.
That's right.
Okay. Okay. Thank you all.
Okay. Jenny, go ahead.
gotta be quick.
Bob, I thought that you had your eyelids lifted. I don't see them
I
up.
did.
They are
They're-
not up enough where they should be because I had it done a lot of years ago.
Remember, I'm still in the healing process. It's only
Well, I
been
stayed black and blue for over 30 days.
No,
Yours
I-
has not been
nope.
that long.
no black and blue here. Never had it.
Okay, well, that was a long time ago. Also, I don't know whether anything was said because I came on a little late. Hewie, aren't you on the west side of Florida where the hurricane is coming?
Yeah, we did talk about it, and you betcha, I'm right smack where they think
Yeah.
it's gonna come in, so.
Yeah, because I'm here in Central Florida and I've checked out everything. Anyway, you know what? Good luck to all of us here in Florida.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, Drew's on in Sarasota, and Stu is in Dunedin, which is expecting to get hit pretty hard, and Dunedin's right on the Gulf as well. I'm about 4 miles inland, so I shouldn't hit any surges, but we're going to get wet from the rain.
Carl, go ahead.
Yeah, I had to leave for a little while. I see Hewie put a link in there for Zoom test. What's that about, Hewie?
Who was it? Jim Glass couldn't, he was trying to get into it and was saying it wasn't there anymore. And I said, we thought that he probably mistyped, and I put the link in for him.
What it is a way to test whether your camera and your sound is working without having to be in an actual Zoom meeting with some other entity. It's with Zoom itself.
If you use the Zoom app, you don't need to be in any meeting with anyone except yourself. Open the app and you then have access to everything, and you can test it, play with it, do all kinds of things with it.
Yeah,
All you need is the app itself.
yeah, I've done that. Actually, you see yourself. You can see
Correct.
what you look like. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Yeah, we have to get ready now. We have a meeting to go to.
Yep, we sure do.
We'll start in just a second. So I'm going to mute everybody and we'll mute you all. Good morning. It is September the 26th. This is episode 130. I'm Ron Brown. I'll be your host today. If you are watching this on YouTube, welcome. If you're here in our live show, welcome as well. If you are watching this as a YouTube short, just click the link in the description and you'll come right to the show and you can participate as well. Today, we have a big show for you today. Of course, we're starting the meeting now. Bob is going to talk about our security news update. He's then going to talk about how to speed up Windows. Hey, that sounds cool. I'll be talking about a brand new video coming out, 2 new medical apps on the Fitbit Sense and the Apple Watch. Hewie's got website of the week, and Bob is going to tell you, has your medical device been hacked? And Ray, of course, is going to finish up with his music and then our question and answer period. So we have a good show for you today, and hopefully you enjoy it. Further to that, we have afterwards, we have our premiere service. This will occur at hour on YouTube. I'll be putting the link in the show notes. And today, I'm going to be talking about the video I want you to watch before you watch the video today. It's called Your Heart and Your Watch. And that's important that you watch this before the video today, but you can do it reverse order. Huey's going to talk about screen and font size, which I think is very interesting. He did that a year ago. And Bob is going to tell you the difference between a VPN and GPN. Did you know that? So I have no idea what a GPN is, but he's going to tell you what the difference is. That's all coming up at hour, which is our premiere service. Now, we also this week coming up on Thursday, we have Tech for Senior Live. The usual gang will be there, and it's not a Zoom meeting. This is a live meeting we have, and we broadcast it from StreamYard out to our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. This is all the news articles of the week that we go over and talk about. Now, we have so much fun doing this show, we never really get to the end of the articles, do we? We sort of we have really lots of fun doing this. So if you want to join us, it's very popular. We're getting now about 200 people listening to the show. So it's certainly fun to do, and we'll be doing that on Thursday with a follow-up. And we podcast that out actually on the Friday. And if you want to keep track of all the happenings that we're doing and some of the 750 videos that we have up, we have a newsletter out. Comes out on Tuesday and Saturday. And on Saturday, I actually put in what the agenda is, so you can watch and see what we're going to talk about on Monday. So if you haven't signed up to our newsletter, Bob and I know who you are because we sat here last Monday when the meeting was canceled, and Bob and I got your names. We wrote them all down, didn't we, Bob? All those people that logged in and said, I didn't know there wasn't a meeting, and you didn't read the newsletter, right, Bob?
You got that one right.
So we know who you are.
Yeah, just one more notice. What wasn't mentioned, I'll also be showing you how to set up crash detection if you have a Pixel phone.
That's right. That's right. You will do that as well. So we have lots of things to talk about today, but I want to first introduce our staff and our good friends of ours. We all know everybody, but of course, right in the brunt of the hurricane that's coming is Hewie Poplock. Hewie, you got your life preserver on. What's happening there?
So I'm bringing stuff in from outside so they don't act as missiles in the neighborhood. So it's just getting ready, and it's nice and sunny and hot. It's in 85 today. So today is beautiful, but tomorrow the rain start, and Wednesday we're going to get hit.
Well, you probably don't remember, but we've been doing this. This is the 130th episode of this show, right? We've been doing this for 3 years. You have actually been through a hurricane before, and yep. I can remember we did a show, and you were actually in the middle of the hurricane, and things were howling and everything, and we actually did the show, and you were there, right?
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as this is expected to be.
Is that right? Okay. All right. So, all right. Well, you take care now. And of course, we have our security expert and expert of all, Mr. Bob Gustisha. He is from Los Lunas, New Mexico. He is here today, and he's a regular contributor as well as a cornerstone on our Thursday show. Right, Bob?
Good morning. It's
Yes.
nice to be here.
Yes. Now, do you have any disasters happening in Los Lunas? Are you okay up there?
No disasters outside of the fact I'm still getting up every morning.
Well, that's good news. That's good news. Yeah. And that's great. And you're going to tell us about crash detection.
Yeah, let's hope we never get to use it, but you should have it set up, because if it's not set up, guaranteed it won't work.
That's true. And it's not personal experience then.
No, I just set it up. And as you'll find out, it isn't 100% foolproof either.
Really? Uh-oh. All right. Well, we look forward to that video. And of course, Ray Baxter, who is our musical director, and he's going to have a surprise musical selection for us today. He's also a regular on our Thursday show as well. Good friend of ours, a really nice guy, president of APCU. I could go on and on and on, but Ray Baxter, how the heck are you?
I'm out.
Pine, Arizona. Are you safe in Pine, Arizona? What's happening up in?
Oh yeah, we're doing all right. I've often said I don't think there's any place on the planet that you can live that at some point in time is not subject to a natural disaster. And when I lived in California, obviously it was earthquakes. I had my share of hurricanes in New York State. So now we have to worry about fires. So there's always something going on. You just pray for everybody and make sure we all stay safe as we can.
Excellent. Thank you. Yes, indeed. This is a busy month in October. Of course, it's cybersecurity month, Bob.
Cybersecurity Awareness Month. Yeah. I noticed that Bill James has also joined us.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Where the heck is Bill? I don't even see
There
him.
he is.
He's here.
Is he stuck in the back?
Good morning,
door?
all.
Line three on
Good
my.
morning.
row three.
Welcome, Bill. Welcome, Bill. Bill, of course, is on our staff as well, and he's a regular contributor. And
I just finished my Windows 11 class.
okay, great, good. And he, of course, is a Windows 11 instructor, which is great. And he also is our gadget guy and has a regular article on our Tuesday newsletter on all the new gadgets. And I've bought a lot of your gadgets. I must tell you honestly, Bill, my wife has said I can't buy any more of your gadgets. That's she's put the foot down on that one for a while anyway. But we'll see. But anyway, lots of fun. And you are, of course, come with us on Thursday as well for our Thursday show.
Yes,
Excellent. How did the classes go? Pretty good?
classes are going well. They're 4 weeks, so this is the last one for this week, this month, this session. So it's been good.
All right. Bob, are you ready to roll?
I believe I am.
I think I see a familiar.
If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Here is the Avast Security News Roundup for the week ending September 23rd, 2022. GTA 6 footage leaks online. This week, in one of the biggest leaks in video game history, a GTA forums user by the name of Teapot Tuber Hacker posted 90 videos from the test build of Grand Theft Auto 6. Gameplay scenes include a waffle shop robbery, some Vice City locations, and 2 playable characters. The clips have been shared and eventually made their way onto YouTube, Twitter, Reddit, and other sites. The hacker also claims to have stolen GTA 5 and 6 source codes. According to the information available, said Avast security evangelist Louis Carones, the attacker belongs to the original group Lapsus, known for compromising big tech companies such as Microsoft, Nvidia, Samsung, and more recently Uber. This group suffered a number of arrests a few months back, but it is clear some of their members are still at large. Hopefully not for long. Rockstar Game confirmed the hack, and the FBI continues to investigate. For more on this story, see PC Gamer or watch my video on this breach at the YouTube link listed. There appears to be a shaky cam bug in iPhone 14 Pro. Apple says it will be releasing a fix next week for a bug in iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max models where the footage taken with the rear camera shakes uncontrollably when used in conjunction with a third-party platform, such as Snapchat or TikTok. We're aware of the issue and a fix will be released next week, an Apple spokesman told CNN. With a starting price of $999, the Pro models feature the first 48-megapixel camera as well as several other new features. The devices are in such high demand that Apple had to reduce production of its standard iPhone 14 in order to make more Pro models, according to the recent tweets from an Apple analyst. See more at CNN Business. European Media Freedom Act safeguards independence. Last week, the European Commission adopted a European Media Freedom Act, a set of rules focused on protecting independent media in the EU. The act prevents government entities from interfering in editorial decisions, safeguards against surveillance, and creates a new independent European board for media services, to be filled with national media authorities. It puts a focus on the stable funding of public service media and requires that transparency and media ownership and the allocation of state advertising. Read the full press release for more details. Morgan Stanley pays $35 million security penalty. On Tuesday, Morgan Stanley agreed to pay $35 million to the Securities and Exchange Commission as penalty for data security lapses, including the improper disposal of thousands of hard drives containing customer data. Some of the hard drives were resold on auction websites without the data having been wiped first. According to the SEC, data for 15 million customers was exposed in what was an extensive failure over a 5-year period. The security lapses were first discovered when an IT consultant in Oklahoma contacted Morgan Stanley to say he had just purchased a drive that happened to have their customers' data on it. Get the full story at Ars Technica. American Airlines hack exposes employee data. In a notice of security incident sent to employees, American Airlines acknowledged a cyber attack that put their team members' personal information at risk. The personal information involved in this incident may have included your name, date of birth, mailing address, phone number, email address, driver's license number, passport number, and or certain medical information you provided, the disclosure read. An American Airlines senior manager commented that the breach began with a phishing campaign that resulted in the exposure of a very small number of customers and employees' personal information. For more, see Cyber Scoop. 15-year-old unpatched Python vulnerability may affect over 350,000 projects. As many as 350,000 open source projects are believed to be potentially vulnerable to exploitation as a result of a security flaw in a Python module that has remained unpatched for 15 years. The open source repositories span a number of industry verticals such as software development, artificial intelligence, machine learning, web development, media, security, and IT management. The shortcoming, tracked as CVE 2007-4559, CVSS score 6.8, is rooted in the tar file module, successful exploitation of which could lead to code execution from an arbitrary file write. Read the whole article at the Hacker News. This week's must-read on the Avast blog. Roughly a third of all connected medical devices have insecure defaults, such as no or weak password protection or poor software design that make them ripe for exploits. Here's what you can do to keep your medical devices safe. Read the article at the link listed or watch my video on this topic at the YouTube link listed. That wraps up this week's Avast Security News Roundup. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye. Just a little update. The young fella who was responsible for that first breach has already been caught. And those of you with the Apple who had that problem with the camera, Apple has patched and released an update. So make sure if you still have the problem that you do your update. Let's spend about 60 seconds to speed up your Windows computer. And since the startup depends on how much crap you allow your system to load when it first starts, that's where we're going to start with speeding up Windows. Let's start by selecting the Start button, then go to Settings. Next, we want to go to Apps, and we're looking for Startup. And this is where you find all the things that start when Windows first starts. And do you really need everything to start when Windows starts? Let's take a little closer look. Yes, I want my antivirus to be there when it starts, but I don't need the driver updater to also start when the computer starts. So let's turn that one off, especially since it has a high impact. Next, Epson status monitor. Don't really have to have it there. Everything, I wouldn't have my computer unless everything was running. Fastest way I know to search for anything. Logitech Download Assistant, no, I don't need that. Not when the system starts. I also don't need the phone link to be there when it first starts. If I want it, I can always turn it on. Slack, it's nice when it's there, but I can start it once I actually want to see what's going on in Slack. So let's turn that off. Zoom meetings, if I have a Zoom meeting, I can always turn this on. So this doesn't have to start at the time that the system itself starts. That's shut down quite a bit of stuff, and that should make the computer a bit faster when it starts. Next thing to do is to test it and see, did it really make a difference? I'll be back and let you know in a second. So I've restarted the computer. I don't notice a great big difference, but there was a difference in the amount of time it took for the computer to actually start up. So yes, it does help when you get rid of the crap that you have starting up at the time the computer first starts. The fewer programs that start when the system starts, the quicker your system will start. Stay safe, stay secure. I hope that helps.
Thanks. Thanks, Bob. Good advice. Something we all should be looking for in our start menu and make sure that we control what starts up there, because I imagine probably historically as well, if you've upgraded Windows 11 from Windows 10, it's just going to keep adding stuff in there, right?
Yeah, and many programs automatically want to start when your system starts.
Mm-hmm.
And if you didn't catch it when you first installed the program, occasionally it makes good sense to go back and review what actually starts when the system starts.
Right. Good stuff. Thanks so much. We'll be hearing from you later on in the show, I think.
You will.
All right. So the next segment is mine. This is a new video I've just created. It's on the Apple Watch and the Fitbit Sense, and it has to do with atrial fibrillation. You know, I talk about this an awful lot. So it is a new feature that has just come out on the Apple Watch about with OS 9. So it just came out last week, and it has been out on the Fitbit Sense for a couple of months. It's a bit technical, and that's why I asked that everybody watch, and it'll be in the video as well, that you watch the first video that I made, because then it makes more sense. One of the problems that we're getting into now, particularly as we get more health apps that are being used on these watches, are most articles in the news are reviewed by reporters, and they don't understand what the technical issues or medical issues are about these devices. So I'm trying to clarify exactly what these terminologies are. So I haven't labeled this. I haven't put a name on it yet. You're the first people who have ever seen it. And I hope in the question and answer, you can give me some feedback. I really wanted to try and make this perfectly clear. So let's have a look at it and see what you guys think. Let's have a look here. And we'll see where we go. 2 new health apps have just been released that can save you from a catastrophic event. In this video, I'll tell you what those are and how to use them. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. As a physician, I am so excited about these 2 new apps, as these can prevent serious health complications. Let's go over these and I'll explain how they work. In this video, we're going to talk a lot about atrial fibrillation. You may not know what that is. I want you to go back and watch a video I made called Your Heart and Your Smartwatch. I'll put the link up here and down below in the description. Please watch that video before you watch this one. If you watched my video, Your Heart and Your Watch, then you will understand that atrial fibrillation can be diagnosed with the ECG app on your phone. Now, you have to have symptoms. So what would happen is you might feel your chest palpitating, your heart rate going up. You then think this could be atrial fibrillation. You then activate the ECG app on your watch, and it does what we call an ECG. But the important thing is it interprets it and will tell you if you have atrial fibrillation or you do not. This saves it as in your health app and will be available to email or send to your healthcare provider. Now, there are 3 watches that do this. The Apple Watch does it, the Galaxy Watch 4 and Galaxy Watch 5 do it, and of course the Fitbit Sense line does this as well. So all 3 watches have been cleared by the FDA for one specific purpose. It doesn't tell you if you're having a heart attack, doesn't tell you if you need to go to the hospital. It only tells you if you have atrial fibrillation. And that is all that app does. When we expand this into the new app that is occurring on the Apple Watch and the Fitbit Sense, we're now monitoring your heart on a periodic basis through the day. This often occurs at night when you're sleeping because you're not active. It's harder to do the ECG when you're active. But periodically, both these watches are going to sample your heart rate and notify you if you have any periods of atrial fibrillation. Will it get all the rates? No. Will it turn on automatically when you actually have a period of atrial fibrillation and don't know you have it? Probably not. What they do is they randomly sample through the day and look for atrial fibrillation. All right, there are 2 new features that have been released for the Apple Watch OS 9. The operating system 9 has 2 distinct and separate features to do with atrial fibrillation. Now, there are 2 groups of patients. First, there are the patients that do not know they have atrial fibrillation. We know that atrial fibrillation over the age of 60 goes up exponentially, so it is very common. It is also the 3rd commonest cause of stroke in the United States. The problem is patients don't know they have atrial fibrillation because it can be asymptomatic, which really means you don't have any symptoms and don't know you have it. Irregular rhythm notification is a separate feature from atrial fibrillation history. Irregular rhythm notification is for people who don't know they have atrial fibrillation. They just want their heart monitored to figure out if this is a problem. The atrial fibrillation history feature is for people who have been diagnosed with atrial fibrillation. So the 2 are quite different. In fact, you can't have both activated at one time. So the irregular rhythm notification samples your heartbeat through the day, most of the time at rest because it's easier to diagnose, and looks for atrial fibrillation. If it finds that you have periods of atrial fibrillation, it'll say, hey, you have atrial fibrillation and you need to go to your healthcare provider and get this sorted out. There's a second group of patients who have been diagnosed with atrial fibrillation and know they have atrial fibrillation. These patients will be under medical supervision and want to know how long they're in atrial fibrillation, what are aggravating factors, and how they can get out of atrial fibrillation. For those patients, there's a second app called Atrial Fibrillation History that we'll talk about now. So we now have the ability on the Apple Watch to enable the atrial fibrillation history feature if you have been given the diagnosis of atrial fibrillation. This will provide you with a weekly update on the deeper insights pertaining to your condition. You will be able to view an estimate of the frequency with which your heart rhythm displays signs of atrial fibrillation, as well as the impact that other factors such as exercise, sleep, alcohol consumption have on your atrial fibrillation. You also have access to a comprehensive history through the Health app with the option to download the PDF and send the information to your healthcare provider. Now, Apple has identified that this feature is available in Canada and the United States and will be approved shortly in many other countries around the world. So in summary, there are two apps on the Apple Watch. The first is irregular heart rate notification. This is where your watch will sample your heart rate periodically through the day and night. It's going to then notify you if it picks up any evidence of atrial fibrillation. Now, it usually monitors your rate when you're at rest, so it is so important that you wear your watch on a 24-hour basis. The second feature is, of course, the atrial fibrillation history. This is for people who do have atrial fibrillation, and this will monitor how long they're in atrial fibrillation and also what activity they were doing when they were having atrial fibrillation. This then compiles this over the week and gives you a report which you can share with your healthcare provider. So these two apps work quite differently and cannot be used together. Well, this is a good time to pause the video. At Tech for Senior, we make a lot of videos about your health. We would sure appreciate it if you could give us that, like and subscribe, as it helps us continue making high quality videos like you're watching today. So please click that button and do a subscribe. Let's get on with the video. Now, unlike the Apple Watch, the Fitbit series only monitors you for atrial fibrillation periodically. It does the irregular heart rate notification, and it randomly samples you through the day and night, just like the Apple Watch does. It doesn't specifically look for atrial fibrillation. It's going to sample you at certain times of the day and check and see if you had any history of atrial fibrillation in that time. So it's so important with these watches that you wear them overnight, because a lot of the sampling at night. One of the big advantages of the Fitbit app, 2021, when Fitbit did their big study with 500,000 people to look for atrial fibrillation, they used pretty much the whole Fitbit line. So the irregular heart notification on the Fitbit line will work with most Fitbit watches. That is really a big factor here. And I will put in the bottom notes all the watches that it will work on. Now, this is simply an app upgrade on your smartwatch. So you need to go to the Fitbit app and see if there is an update. And if there is, then the update will ask you if you want to activate the irregular heart rhythm notification. And I'm going to show you how to do that in just a minute. Once it's activated, then it's periodically going to check you through the day and night and notify you if there's any episodes of atrial fibrillation. But as I said earlier, this will work on not just the Fitbit Sense, which does the unique ECG. This actually will work on the whole product line, which is really great. So let me show you how this all works out. When you update the Fitbit app, you'll be presented with this menu, irregular rhythm notification. If you have a prior diagnosis of atrial fibrillation or are under the age of 22, then you're not allowed to use this app. This is an app that you will use if you are asymptomatic and looking for atrial fibrillation. This is going to do the periodic monitoring of your heart as I outlined in the previous section. Let's complete the application process. Verify eligibility. Let's put your date of birth and whether you have a history of atrial fibrillation. I qualify, have completed this, and agree. So I click the I agree, and then it discusses how the app works. I'll click next. And what to do if you receive a notification. Well, we've read that and we'll turn it on. And there's 4 things to note. If you don't get notification, it's still possible to have atrial fibrillation. Some people with AFib don't experience symptoms. And of course, Fitbit is only checking for atrial fibrillation, not a heart attack or stroke. All set and you're done. Just click that. Now it gives you more information about the atrial fibrillation app and how it works. And you're all done. Well, it's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you do have the Apple Watch or the Fitbit Sense series or any of the Fitbit line, please activate those apps and see if you have atrial fibrillation. This is particularly important if you're over the age of 60 because we want to prevent that stroke from happening. We also make a lot more health videos. If you want to watch these, they're on our Tech for Senior channel. Till we see you again, have a great day. All right, so we'll see if we have any comments or suggestions on that in the question and answer. Hewie, are you ready to roll?
I'm absolutely ready. And let's full screen this and start.
Tech for Seniors present the website of the week with Hewie Poplock.
Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Website of the week number 15. I'm Hewie Poplock. Tell your story with illustrations using blush.design. Tell your story with illustrations. Easily create and customize stunning illustrations with collections made by artists across the globe. Try it. It's kind of fun. So how does Blush make designing your projects simple and fun? 1, you choose a style. Choose a collection from multiple styles and themes made by artists around the world. 2, customize the art. Play around with variations until you create the art that tells your story. 3, use on your design. Download a PNG or an SVG of your creation and use it in your web app, presentation, or any project you want to bring to life. And here is blush.design in action. And we're going to demonstrate it, but this is a video they did, so I thought I'd show that to you first. Very easy to use. Blush.design is free, and you get unlimited downloads, and you can save up to 5 designs for reuse, but you can use it all you want. And if you want to go with the Pro plan, and that's per year, it's $12 a month. If you do it by the month, it's $20 a month. But the free should do what most of you want to use it for. So let's go to the website and try blush.design. We're on the home page right now. As we scroll down, we can see that we can try new collections or from the community. First of all, though, I am signed in. I created an account, a free account, but you don't have to. But if you want to create an account, all it requires is a username, which would be your email address, and a password. They don't ask for any other information. So I can try new collections and I can try from the community. Try the new collections first. We're going to look at one section. Right now I'm going to go to the avatars. And what you can do now is create an avatar. And let's take this default right here, and it gives us an avatar. but it certainly doesn't look like me, and it may not look like you. First of all, we can change the hair. You can see over here, these are all the things that you can change and make it your own. So we're going to play around with this and come up with something that might be suitable for me. And then you can play around with it and find something suitable for you. So let's look at the hair first. I'm going to pick white hair, even though mine's probably more salt and pepper. That's not the style I'm going to use, but that's the color I want. Skin color, I'm probably a little lighter than that. Let's pick a blue. All right, the next one would be the nose. What kind of nose do we want? We've got 3 choices here. One, let's pick that one. And then for the clothing, what do we want? Well, I could have a bow tie. We can have female clothing, young people's clothing. I'm going to pick the tie. How about the mouth? Let's see. What do we have for choices here? I like that. All right, and the eyes. Yeah, that looks good. And then the eyebrows, or they call it the outline. Yeah, we'll go with that, but then we're going to put some facial hair. Let's do the beard. And now we got to change the hairstyle. Now that's not quite me. That would be better. And I usually wear glasses. We now have an avatar. Let me download that. And the only choice on the free version is a small PNG, which is right here. They call it default PNG. And we'll go back and we'll look at it in a little bit. So there's one possibility for us. And go back to the first page and come down here under from the community. And there was one with a computer that I wanted to try. So let's take a look at this one. And that one is the one I'm talking about. This one might not be too bad either. Let's go ahead and try this one, and we're going to edit it. What do we want for a background? Let's try that. The chair I think is good, but we could have different kinds of chairs. Let's just take a look. But I do like that chair better. And then click on the sitting. Certainly that wouldn't be me with shorts on. So let's see what we have for choices here. So let's try this. Okay. Okay, and what about the hair? Certainly is not my hair. That looks good. We have different facial expressions. No, this would be more me. And glasses, we'll put some glasses on me. Okay, so let's say we choose that one, and we're going to download it. Use it as a small PNG as well. So we've got 2 now that we've downloaded. So now what are we going to do with those? We now have 2 graphics that we created using blush.design. Now, what can we do with those? Well, one of the things that you could do would be to use them in a PowerPoint presentation. Another might be just to have them in some kind of documentation that you're doing, but it gives you the ability to use your own graphic rather than try to find one online. Let's create a signature for our emails. So we can decide which one of these 2 that we want. I'm using the graphics editor that I use of choice, and that is Photoshop Elements, but you can use whatever program that you're used to using. Let's take this graphic. We're going to change the canvas size. We want to do it in pixels. Right now it's 400 by 381. We'll just make it wider because we want to put some more information on there. So we're going to change that to 800. We'll keep the height the same. And we'll go ahead and say, okay, we have a larger canvas. What we want to do is we want to take the image and move it over to the left so that we can put some text over here. Since this is going to be our signature for our emails, we want to add text, and we want to use the name John Jones. We will move it in just a moment. We'll go to the next line. We'll say his email is jj1234@gmail.com. His phone number is, we're going to say okay. And now we're going to take that and we're going to move it over here. We're going to say we want to write justify, and then we'll have to move it again. Okay, this will be our signature. So let's go ahead and file and save as. We're going to save it to the desktop just so we can find it quickly. We're going to call it John Jones Signature. We'll save it as a PNG, and we have our graphic for our signature. How to set up a signature in Gmail is another lesson, but let's take a look at having it set up. I hit compose. I'm ready to have a new message, and my signature is already there with that graphic that we got from blush.design. This has been Website of the Week number 15. I'm Hewie Poplock. Tell your story with illustrations, blush.design. A little fun thing to do.
Yeah, that was cool. So listen, just hold on now. That first image that you downloaded, what was up with all the hair on top? You came up with a bunch of hair. You said that looks just like me.
My forehead is a little bit farther back than that one, but they didn't have one with a receding hairline.
Okay. Hey, so now the other one was that it's transparent, eh? Like the image that you downloaded.
Yeah, and if I saved it as a JPEG, it would not be.
Oh, okay. So you have the choice there when you download it. You can either do it as transparent or not transparent. Okay. Very good. Thanks so much. That's going to be a fun one to use. Yeah, that's cool. Bob, are you ready to roll? Bob, I don't think we can hear you.
Has your medical device been hacked? Roughly a third of all connected devices have insecure defaults, such as no or weak password protection or poor software design that makes them ripe for exploits. My thanks to David Strom for his excellent article on this topic. You can read the whole article at the link listed. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and get involved. Last week, the FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center issued a public warning concerning that they have identified an increasing number of vulnerabilities posed by unpatched medical devices. They stated that these devices, such as insulin pumps and pacemakers, are running outdated firmware. They also lack adequate security features, meaning that hackers could change device settings and create dangerous conditions for the patients who literally depend on them. All of this isn't a new problem, but the FBI notice is a good reminder of how law enforcement might focus its attention on this area. The warning brought to light several issues that are unique to this particular industry. First, many devices are often used for more than a decade, while their firmware isn't often updated, if at all, and patches are far and few between. Many hospitals and medical practice groups aren't proactive with maintaining the software environment, or don't even consider this a part of their responsibility. And about a third of all connected devices have insecure defaults, such as no or weak password protection or poor software design that makes them ripe for exploits. The FBI noticed a series of cybersecurity reports that illustrate how dire things have gotten. Many devices have multiple vulnerabilities, and 40% are near their end-of-life stage. Earlier this year, security researchers discovered that more than 100,000 infusion pumps were susceptible to 2 known vulnerabilities that were disclosed back in 2019. The FDA recalled these pumps or components 16 different times over the past 2 years. Another report released last week found 89% of healthcare professionals surveyed have experienced at least one cyber attack in the last year, and many of these attacks caused treatment delays. The FBI isn't the only federal agency concerned about this issue. Last year, we wrote about the Food and Drug Administration's cybersecurity efforts and interviewed the then interim director of medical device cybersecurity, Kevin Fu, who has since returned to academia. Fu was recently interviewed earlier this summer saying device makers have to choose to improve. He was quoted in that piece, where he also bemoaned the lack of operational technology medical device cybersecurity experts. We have to help not just manufacturers, but also regulators and healthcare delivery organizations to get access to this specially trained talent. In April, the FDA updated its guidance for medical device cybersecurity, a document that was last published in 2018, along with creating a November 2011 playbook for threat modeling suggestions for the device makers. To help improve cybersecurity, we have written about various medical-related phishing and identity-based scams and have other suggestions to stay vigilant. Back to the FBI notice. They issued several common sense recommendations, including using antivirus and other endpoint protection software, encrypting traffic coming and going to the device, changing to stronger passwords, and using policies that detect potentially exploited devices. Also, medical providers should perform regular vulnerability scans across their operational IT network before connecting any new devices. These warnings and security measures apply to all medical devices, including those you use in your home daily. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at car crash protection on your iOS device. I'm sorry, on your Android device, specifically the Pixel device. Setting up car crash detection on your Pixel phone. Let's get started. Start by opening up Settings, and once they open, use the search box and simply search for Emergency, and you'll see something that says Safety and Emergency. Select it. You'll now see something called Car Crash Detection. Select it, Car Crash Detection. This helps your car detect when you're in a severe accident, and it can report your location to 911, something that's available in my Pixel phone and something that I think everyone should have turned on if their smartphone allows that detection. So let's select it as on, and this tells you that Pixel uses your device location, motion sensor, and ambient audio to detect a car crash, even when the app is closed or not in use. Keep in mind, Pixel may not be able to detect all crashes and might impact activities, and high-impact activities may activate car crash detection. So if you have a severe fall or slam your phone against the wall, it's possible that it would detect it as a car crash. If you need help, does it really matter? Select OK. Car crash detection is now turned on. Let's try a demo so you know what it's like if this should happen. Hit the start button. It's buzzing.
Car crash detected. Say, emergency, to call 911 now. Otherwise, say, cancel.
Cancel.
You said, cancel. Emergency call canceled.
Now you can still report a minor crash, no crash, and you can still select to call 911. With this turned on, gives you some extra peace of mind and a way to protect yourself if you should be involved in a car crash. Stay safe, stay secure. I hope that helps.
Two things you don't want to do, and that's test the 911, and the other is test a crash.
So, Bob, will it work on my bicycle when I'm riding around on my e-bike?
If you have the Pixel phone and you crash, probably, because the impact should be hard enough, provided you fall hard enough. As I said, if you take your phone and you slam it up against the wall, it's going to detect a crash if you have it turned on. It isn't foolproof, and there might be some instances where the crash just isn't severe enough, and it's not going to detect it as a crash. But
That's
it's
right.
better than not having any protection.
Bob and I both have the Pixel 6, and this
It
of
also
course,
works on the Pixel 5 and the Pixel 4, 3.
right. But it's going to be hopefully rolling out to all Android phones. That's what
Correct.
Google says.
Right.
Great. Thanks, Bob.
Yep.
We will now, before we get to your segment, I just want to say goodbye to everybody over on YouTube. Thank you for coming. Don't forget, if you want to come over and participate in the Q&A, pop over now. We have lots of room. We'll let you into the meeting. And if you, otherwise, we'll be here same time, same place next week. Don't forget about our premiere service. We'll be starting in 1:30. I put the links in the chat. Okay, Ray, I'm just going to stop the live feed and you